Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I want us guys to discuss about some of the data structures that are available in R. So let us get started. So a data structure is a way to store, organize, and manage data efficiently. So in every programming language, there's a way that data or information is being stored in a particular way, and that is what we call a data structure. So some of the data structures that are available in R, we have vectors, we have matrices, we have lists, we have data frame, and many others, as we're going to see later. So how do we create vectors? Or let us start with the first data structure, which is the vector. So what is a vector? A vector is a basic data structure containing data elements of the same type. That means if a vector is supposed to, if it's just numeric, it's supposed to contain only numeric data type. If it's character, it's supposed to be character data type, or any other, that's a single type of data. Now if you're going to combine like numeric and character, one of the data type is going to be coerced, or it's going to be forced to take the form of the other data type. So how do we create that vectors in R? So in R we have a variety of methods that we can use to make our vectors, and the first one is the C function, which is the concatenation function, and we also have the sequencing function, and finally we have that operator. So these are first variety of the ways that we're going to be using to make our vectors. Now after we have created our vectors, we want to access a particular element of data in that vector. So how do we do that? We do that using something, the indexes. Now when you create a vector, each element in that vector is stored at a particular position, and it has an index. So we are going to use that index for us to be able to access that information. So variety of indexes that of the index that we're going to be using, we have the integer index, and one thing you have to remember is in R the index normally starts from 1. We can also use the logical vector index, and we can also use the character index. So after we've managed to make our vectors, what if we notice that, hey, we need to change a particular element of the data in a particular vector? How do we do that? Yeah, we can do that by making an update. Like we can either assign and using assignment operators to change it and update it. So another way that we can change a vector is we can combine two vectors to form one bigger vector, or you can perform vector arithmetic, whether it's multiplication, division, subtraction, all of those we can perform them in R. So finally let's go to R. So make sure you open the project that we are in. Make sure you open the project. Okay, let's just start it. So you can start by creating you're going to create one file. You're going to create an R script, as I had showed you in the previous videos. You're going to create an R script, and you're going to name it vectors. You're going to name it vectors. So let's get started. So the first method that we have seen, we're going to use the C function. We're going to use the C function for us to create our first vector. So why don't we get started using the numeric data type? So our first vector, let's call it vector1. We assign it like a number, like 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when you run that, vector1, so that's a vector. That's our first vector that we have defined. So we've just defined this using the numeric data type using the C. What if we want to create a vector that has only logical data type? We can still do that. We can define it as vector2, true, false, true, false, false. There's the logical vectors. Vector 2, that's a logical vector. Now what if, guys, we want to know the length of our data? We can still do that in R using this function. We can use the length function to get to know the length, and we can still count that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that defines the length of our vector. What if we wanted to create, now let's create for a character data type. You can call it vector 3. You can call it apple, bananas. You can define the last one, oranges. Vector 3, and that we have defined using the C function. Now this C is the concatenation function. It's like it's binding together all these elements, individual elements of a particular data. So we can move to the second technique, which is using the sequence function. The sequence function, sequence function. So this defines override this. Vector 1. So this is a different technique that you can, apart from using this one, this is an assignment operator, you can also use this one. Okay, we're using the sequence, so you just press SEQ. From, I want us to start from 1 maybe to 10 by 1. So that means it's going to start from 1, 2, 3 up to 10. Let's see vector 1, how does it look like? 1, 2, 3, because it is giving us a difference of 1. So if we maybe say a difference of 2, expect it from start from 1, 3, and so on, because the difference is set to 2. Now there's a scenario whereby you want to define the length. Maybe you want to define the length of your vector. You want to define the length of a vector. So let's see how you can tackle that. So in this case, you're going to do SEQ from, we can say maybe from equals to 1, maybe to 10. There's a parameter you can specify length dot out. Maybe you can say 6. I want it to be a vector of 6. Vec2, and we have that. So why don't we look at let's see what is the length of our vector to see if it's going to be 6, and it's going to be 6. So these are some of the ways that we can define using the sequencing function. We've seen that the concatenation function and the sequencing function. So now we can look at maybe vector coercion, so that you can see, guys, what happens. Vector coercion. So let's define a vector. Maybe let's call it vector 1, and then we are going to assign it to maybe 10, 20, and then here we can say and then 200. So see what happens. These are numeric and these are character. So let's see what happens. It's going to be a character, because this is what we call vector coercion. So these are numeric data types and this is character. So all the others have been coerced into character data type. This is what we call vector coercion in R. So we can finally go to the third one, whereby you're going to be using this operator. Let's see. We can define our vector 1, and then we say like I want a number from 1 up to 9. 1 to 9. Let's see what happens when we define vector 1. We're going to have from 1 up to 9. So by default it's taking from 1 to 9. So guys, what else can we do here? Using operators. Okay, how about we access data? Oh, okay, what else can we do here? So guys, we can try and access data. So how do we access data? Now let's go to accessing data of a vector. Accessing data of a vector. Well guys, this video is getting to be too long, so I guess I have to split this up, and then I'm going to do this in the next video. Anyway, thanks guys, and leave a like, share and subscribe so that you can be notified when I upload new videos. Thank you guys.